We are going to begin today's delegation meeting, Friday, February 20th. Welcome, everyone. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer offered by Vice Chair Simmons.
Outstanding. Appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us bow our head. Heavenly Father God, we come to you today, Lord, on this dreary, rainy day, Lord, but we come to you with a bright heart and a clear mind, Lord. We ask you to continue to guide us and strengthen us as we go about our day, Lord. We ask you to give us the vision to do the work of the people, Lord, remembering that they come first. Lord, we ask you to continue to strengthen us. Let us not be weary by the days that long, but continue to uplift us as we go along, Lord. Heavenly Father, continue to watch over us and watch over our families and our friends and continue to help us do the work. Amen.
Thank you, Vice Chair Simmons. Appreciate the prayer and the pledge this morning. Good morning again, everyone. Before we move into our guests, I do want to let everybody know we have to take roll call. You know, last time I was a little excited, wanted to get the meeting moved on. So let's take roll call, Mr. Secretary, to see who's here.
Okay, it's roll call for delegation meeting February 20th, 2026. Vice Chair Simmons.
Present.
Speaker Pena-Melnick.
Present, and I apologize. I am multitasking between meetings, but I am here, okay? Have to keep the video off for a little bit.
Got it. Delegate Bagnall.
Here.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Here.
Delegate Baylor.
Here.
Delegate Chang.
Here.
Delegate Chisholm.
Here.
Delegate Howard.
Here.
Delegate Jones.
Here.
Delegate Kipke.
Present.
Delegate Lehman.
Present.
Delegate Congolo.
Here.
Delegate Rogers.
Here.
Delegate Smith.
Schmidt, present.
Chairman Pruski.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We do want to take one piece of business before we have our special guest today. We have a vote on HB 1286, Anne Arundel County Alcoholic Beverages Barbershop and Beauty Salon License. This was Delegate Baylor. Again, Delegate Baylor, did you want to just mention anything quickly before we take the vote?
No, it's just a relatively straightforward bill that adds the 1.7 ounce pour to the current beer and wine license for salons and barbershops.
Okay, are there any questions from the delegation? Is there a motion to vote on this bill?
The bill. Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to vote on Anne Arundel County Alcoholic Beverages Barbershop and Beauty Salon License HB 1286. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote is for HB 1286, Anne Arundel County Alcoholic Beverages Barbershop and Beauty Salon License. Vice Chair Simmons, how do you vote?
Yes.
Speaker Pena-Melnick.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones.
Yes.
Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman.
Yes.
Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, by a vote of 15-0 in the affirmative, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We do have a lot of guests in the room today. I believe they're also testifying for different bills. I just want to introduce a few folks and then I'll introduce our special guest because I know her time is limited. I see Sheriff Sesker. I see Senator Simon Ayer. I see our school board members, our president, Gloria Dent, Don Polium, and Mr. Silkworth, and certainly Alderman Brooks Schandelmeyer. I'm sure I'll look around if there's anybody else that joined us, but welcome all to the delegation meeting. But I am honored to introduce our guest, For those of you that remember, obviously she was our colleague in the Senate and certainly has been fighting in Washington for us. We're certainly proud to have her as our representative because we all know her, and I know the good work that's happening in Washington. So I'm going to turn it over to our friend, Congressman Sarah Elfreth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's good to see everybody, if only over Zoom. Reminder, I still do live in Annapolis, so please, keep inviting me to your events, keep inviting me out for dinner because I do miss you. It's hasn't been that long, Mr. Chair. It's hard to believe it's only been a year. But I wanted to give you kind of the update from Washington. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to do some of the bad that I know that you're reading about right now in the news. I'm going to talk about some of the good that we've been able to do for our constituents. And then if we have time, Mr. Chair, I'd love to take a couple of questions, either online or offline. I think everybody here has my cell phone number. If you don't, I'm happy to give it to you. So the bad of this last year, I think we all recognize Maryland has been acutely and disproportionately impacted by many of the decisions happening in Washington, D.C. Not just in Anne Arundel County, I also represent Howard County and parts of Carroll County. I represent 45,000 federal employees and 2 to 3 times that in contractors. And so beginning with DOGE and then fork in the road and RIFs and many other decisions coming out of the White House, we have been disproportionately impacted, again, by losing 25,000 federal jobs in Maryland alone, more than any other state. We are fighting each and every day with our federal workers and our union counterparts to try to counter many of these measures, particularly around collective bargaining agreements that have been in place for federal employees for 60 plus years. I'm happy to dig into that, Mr. Chair, but I'm going to go kind of rapid fire. The next, obviously, is a major topic across the country and in our own community is what I believe to be the overreach of ICE. Speaking to my colleagues in Minnesota and hearing about the impact of what's happening there. Thank goodness it's winding down, but that's also impacting us here in Anne Arundel County. And I get a text message a week, sometimes from you all, sometimes from constituents, about a neighbor, a coworker, somebody in the community who has been detained by ICE, brought to the Baltimore facility, which I have visited. Please reach out to my office or directly to myself if that is the case. We will work with that person's family, their attorneys, and do our best to work with DHS to make sure due process is served. It's also ICE in this, what's happening in Minnesota, the challenges there has also led to what everybody probably knows, but is a shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security alone. In Congress, we don't have one budget. We have 12 budget bills. 11 of the 12 have passed. The DHS budget has not. Democrats in the House and the Senate have put up 10 what I believe are very reasonable pieces of negotiation around body cameras, around respecting sensitive places like houses of worship, schools, churches, hospitals. I'm happy to give all 10 to this group offline, but in the meantime, the negotiations have stalled a bit. I also want to remind folks that, of course, the Department of Homeland Security has ICE, but it also has our Coast Guard, it also has our TSA, it also has our FEMA employees. So, again, Maryland's going to be disproportionately hit by that as well. The last kind of piece of negative bad I wanted to bring up is healthcare. I know many of your constituents are experiencing a healthcare affordability crisis right now. My premiums went up, as I'm sure most people's have in our community, not just folks who are on the Affordable Care Act or on the health exchange, but private as well. The good news is that there's such a thing called the discharge petition. It's one of the very few things in the minority in the House we can use, one of the few tools we can use to kind of force a conversation, force a vote on a bill. And after much back and forth over the fall around this ACA premium tax credit issue that impacted about 190,000 Marylanders, the House did use that discharge petition to force a vote on those ACA tax credits, and it did pass. Republicans joined us on that vote, which I'm very grateful for, and it's in the Senate's hands. But in the meantime, affordability is top of mind for me. I know it is for you. You hear from your constituents as well, and I want to tackle it any which way we can. Love to have your ideas on federal legislation. We are going to take a Maryland program. You might have read in the banner a couple weeks ago about a creative childcare program called Growing Opportunities for Family Childcare Program that helped set up hundreds of home-based childcare programs across the state and added thousands of seats for childcare in our communities. That's a great program to help small business owners open their own businesses, but also help solve the supply side of childcare crisis. So we're taking that concept, that program in Maryland, and we're going to take it national with a bill in just the next few weeks. Mr. Chair, I promise I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to move on to the good. The good news is that I have a fantastic team who are here each and every day to serve our shared constituents. On the call right now is Jamie Diatley, my chief. Eva Lewis, my district director, who you all know very well, is out on vacation today, but she handles all of our district office. I believe Chris Pumphrey is on. He's our constituent services director. He's in charge of all of it. And I believe Taylor Donahue is on as well. He's in charge of our Academy nominations and earmarks. We helped solve over 1,000 constituent cases last year. Highest demand cases for us are going to be Social Security, IRS, and VA. But of course, we handle every single federal program. Please reach out to us if you have a constituent in need of services. We have a pretty good track record so far. Service Academy, it's Service Academy season. I'm really proud to share everybody, and I want to thank Delegate Rogers for serving on our Service Academy nominating committee. 11 District 3 young people have been accepted to the various service academies across the country, and that's just the beginning. We expect to double that number by the end of it, but I wanted to bring a piece of good news this morning. Lastly, earmarks. Good news. I don't get to share much of it these days. We were able to bring in $20 million back to the 3rd District, a lot of it for Anne Arundel County. I'll be brief, Mr. Chair. $133,000 for the Anne Arundel County Food Bank to help with a refrigerated truck, which is going to obviously help bring fresh produce and protein across Anne Arundel County. A mobile command unit for the Annapolis Police at $1 million. We have a reentry and rehabilitative program initiative for the Community Action Agency at about $1 million. $2 million to DNR to help combat invasive species in the Chesapeake Bay. Just under $700,000 for the YWCA for their domestic violence intervention program and rapid rehousing for survivors. Joint 911 Center, I know, is a priority for everybody on this call for the county. $3.5 million. That was the largest earmark we brought home to Anne Arundel County this year to help the county executive get that off the ground. Another just over $3 million for Crownsville for the Meyer building rehabilitation to help with, again, rehousing. And the county executive and I are passionate about a veterans housing program at that building. Just over $1 million for Holly Beach Farm for resiliency to make sure that doesn't fall into the Chesapeake Bay. And last but not least, Shepherd Pratt, which has a presence in Anne Arundel County, obviously for mental health and behavioral health. I was just there. They do phenomenal work, particularly for young people. We were able to get them $1 million for a workplace violence prevention program. That's all to say. That's the good news. We are gearing up for Earmarks 2.0. I want to thank in particular Delegate Nick Kipke for hosting me at Fort Smallwood over the fall to kind of brainstorm opportunities to bring money home to Pasadena. But of course, we would love to hear from all of you about your ideas. We've met with County Executive Pittman, Mayor Littman, and would love to hear from each and every one of you about ideas to bring federal investments back to the district. I'm probably over time, Mr. Chair. I appreciate your graciousness.
Thank you, Congresswoman Elfith. And to be honest with you, all the projects you just mentioned, you can go as long as you want, as long as you keep bringing money home. We appreciate it. So thank you for all your work. But do we have any questions for the Congresswoman? I do want to respect her time. Is there anyone that has a question?
I can't get
Awesome.
off that easy with all my former colleagues, but I'll take it.
Here we go. Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you, Congressman Elfreth. It's so good to see you. I don't have a true question. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and Gloria Dent was also on our Academy nominating committee. I want to thank her.
Awesome. I'm going to give the wait time here. Any other questions? Well, Congresswoman, I can tell you, thank you again for all your work. We appreciate you. And I do know that staff has your phone number if they need to reach out, and you're always responsive. So we want to thank you for that. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. I do want to introduce, I know Senator Pam Beidel has joined us. Make sure we recognize her. And also to be clear, I don't think I mentioned Don Polium is the vice chair of the school board. I know I mentioned Gloria Dent's the president, but I want to make sure we list everybody. All right, we're going to move on now. We have a couple bills that are going to be heard. I do hear that folks had some amendments. So to be clear, and I did talk with council this ahead of time, just so everybody's aware. You can talk about the amendments, but we will not voting on those and the bill until next week. So, and if anybody wants to move a bill to subcommittee, you can certainly make a motion to do that if it needs work based upon the discussion. So I just wanted to open so everyone's clear. But we are going to start off, and we do have some witnesses today. Mr. Secretary can help me certainly, because I know he reached out to them to make sure. But if you're going to testify on a bill, we're going to let the sponsor go first with their panel. 2 minutes, obviously, for the witnesses. And then if there's anyone that is in opposition or like to add anything. So let's get started. HB 938, Anne Arundel County and the City of Annapolis Crosswalk Monitoring Systems Authorization. Delegate Baylor is introducing this bill. If you would like to proceed, and if you have anybody here to testify, please do so.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have Alderman Schandelmeyer as well as Wade Borman from the company Avio that are joining me. Thank you, members of the delegation. For the record, I'm Dylan Baylor, delegate for Main Street, testifying in support of House Bill 938. Generally speaking, this legislation would authorize the use of automated crosswalk enforcement cameras in Anne Arundel County and the City of Annapolis. Before jumping into some of the specifics of the bill, I just want to talk about a specific instance that we saw here in District 30A over the course of the last interim, where there is a crosswalk in front of the Mike Bush Library, and over the course of the interim, there was unfortunately a very tragic situation where a child was struck at that intersection, and it kind of created a large dialogue with us here in Annapolis on what we can do to better protect those that are in our crosswalks. And that kind of helped lead to this legislation here today. This legislation is modeled off of several other pieces of legislation that have been introduced this session, one in Prince George's County. And the company that you'll hear from shortly did a pilot program in Prince George's County as well related to stop signs. That automated stop sign pilot program had helped limit violations by 70%, which is really amazing. But generally speaking, more specifically on the bill is just an authorization to create this program. It requires reasonable notice and public hearings. It also requires signage for when these potential monitoring systems are going to be put in. You also notice that the bill sunsets after 5 years, and by the end of 2027, if the city and the Anne Arundel County decide to move forward with this, it would require them to report to us, the General Assembly, on the success, the costs, and a variety of other things about the program. I think the only other big thing of note is that potential violations, if the county and the city were to move forward with this, would be capped at a $40 civil penalty. I think the other thing that I have been most intrigued about the program, and you'll hear about this from Wade, is if the city and the county do decide to move forward with this, one thing that they do is they spend a large amount of time on the front end, educating the local community about what this looks like. And even that education has shown a positive benefit on pedestrian safety. After this hearing, one thing that I will share with you is the company did a feasibility study at several crosswalks in the city of Annapolis to talk about the number of violations that we see of drivers maneuvering into crosswalks when pedestrians are there. The numbers are quite staggering with the risks to pedestrians in our crosswalks. And they also sent a video that I'll share with the delegation after this hearing of what the actual technology looks like that helps guide understanding where the violations occur in that. Again, I hope this bill starts a conversation about how we can better protect our pedestrians here in Anne Arundel County and in the city of Annapolis. And with that, I would gladly turn it over to Alderman Schandelmeyer to give the first part of the panel.
Thank you, Delegate. Thank you, Chairman Pruski, Vice Chair Simmons. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alderman Brooks Schandelmeyer. I have the privilege of representing Ward 5 on the Annapolis City Council. Along with the incident that Delegate Beeler brought up in front of the Mike Bush Library, Annapolis has several mid-block crosswalks that are incredibly dangerous. My own ward, Ward 5, has 3 of them along Hilltop Lane. 2 of them are by very heavily populated apartments, and one of them is going towards Truxton Park and the Pip Moyer Rec Center, which also has a brand new playground that the city built. The incidents where drivers treat these crosswalks as optional are very frequent, and it does put our pedestrians at risk. So by legalizing this, it gives us the tools that we need to keep our pedestrians safe, to keep our children safe, to keep our residents safe. One thing that I do want to point out is when the speed cameras were legalized by the delegation, we saw success that these help change behaviors. Overall, our revenue and our violations went down. So we know that these do help us change overall behavior of drivers. It does help us educate the public. It does help us show that we should make drivers follow our rules, follow our laws, and drive in a more sustainable way. And with that, I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thanks. Mr. Chair, Wade is the final person on my panel.
Yeah, please proceed.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you having me and all the hard work you're doing here today. My name is Wade Borman, and I'm the program manager here at Avio in Maryland. We build automated traffic safety technology designed to prevent crashes, protect pedestrians, and save lives. I lead implementation in the state for our team, and on behalf of Avio.ai, I'm here today to strongly support HB 938. Maryland is facing a serious pedestrian safety crisis. In 2025 alone, 116 pedestrians were killed in traffic deaths statewide. Families simply trying to walk a proportionate share of roadway safety. Arundel County and Annapolis are no exception. Roads every day. And as an Anne Arundel County resident, studies here in Anne Arundel County at crosswalks indicated thousands of failure violations per day. Drivers failing to yield to pedestrians nearly 8 out of 10 times when they should have. And some places were particularly egregious. At the crosswalk at West Street and Pearl Street by the library in Annapolis, drivers failed to yield 93% of the time. That means children, parents, and that's just whether walking to the but we know automated traffic enforcement works. In Prince George's County, as you heard, we had their stop 20% in just 4 months. Automated traffic enforcement is also one of the fastest and most cost-effective tools available. Increasing patrol staffing and enforcement systems can be deployed in days and begin improving. And that's my time.
Thanks, and sorry for any technology problems.
Any questions for, and that was it, Delegate Baylor, correct, for your witnesses?
Yep.
Okay, we do have a question, Delegate Jones.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Delegate, do we have written testimony from your witness?
Yeah, we will share the study and the video from the witness.
Thank you so much.
Delegate Bartlett.
Just a quick question, and it may be in the video. So I was looking at the bill and I see that when there is an officer directing traffic, I suppose, the technology, do they just turn off the technology or how does that work when they're in there, when they're directing traffic?
Yeah, Wade?
Sure. So in the back, yes, absolutely. So in the back end, our technology can actually detect an officer or public works or whoever it is waving on traffic. And of course, that doesn't count as a citation if you're being, yes.
Great. I figured there was something there. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Bartlett. Are there any other questions or witnesses for HB 938? Okay, just want to give wait time here. Okay. All right, we will move on. Thank you for the presentation of that bill. Now we move on to HB 11, Anne Arundel County Sheriff Appointment of Majors. This is Vice Chair Simmons' bill. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, colleagues. Once again, as we continue to do our part in standing up our sheriff's department, 4 years ago when the sheriff came in, he had a exodus of leadership that resigned or retired as a result of their due time. Over these years, the department has been working to build back up that level of command staff, and as a result, the ask is on the table today. Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Sesker is requesting an additional 3 majors in their command staff leadership role for supervisory purposes, with an increase in the department that they've had with growth with specialized units as well, that they're looking to make sure that they have proper supervision for each of these units or departments within the sheriff's department. We also have with us supervisors from the sheriff's department, including the sheriff himself, that's willing to explain any further about the needs of the department.
Vice Chair Simmons, do you have anybody that's going to testify, or is it just
Sheriff
for?
Sesker. Sheriff
Okay.
Sesker is on.
Yep. Sheriff Sesker, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Let me apologize to everybody too. I'm not on video because I am actually on the West Coast with my daughter visiting schools, and it is dark 30 here, so I apologize for that. But with the current bill, HB 11, I am in need of majors positions, and let me explain why. The current command staff exists of myself, the executive command staff, myself, my colonel, captains, and lieutenants. Lieutenants are part of the bargaining unit. And for me to have a functional executive command staff, I need people who are free from the bargaining unit to make executive decisions. Right now, when we discuss things regarding personnel issues, disciplinary reasons, or anything like that, lieutenants who represent the bargaining unit, sometimes they have to excuse themselves. Also, even when we're talking about budgeting matters, even at this moment, the FOP, the bargaining unit, is in talks with the county government regarding budgets and stuff. So my lieutenants may have to excuse themselves. This is something that is needed and way overdue. My agency, although we still don't have the adequate number of people, we are growing. And we have been able to fill a 20% vacancy rate, which requires additional supervision. I think with the addition of a major to the executive command staff, the lieutenant can take on the responsibility of being a lieutenant, a mid-level manager who can bridge the gap between the executive command staff and the rank and file. Also, this will be appointment-based, which will allow me to take effective and efficient disciplinary actions with the executive command staff, which will send a clear and definitive message down through the ranks.
Thank you, Sheriff Sesker. Anyone else, Vice Chair Simmons?
No, that's it.
Okay. We're going to open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? We'll start with Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Sheriff Sesker, for your time today. I know it's probably not the ideal spot for you to be in for this call. How does this line up with other jurisdictions of similar size throughout the state?
Yeah, well, this actually lines up well with the rest of them. Majority of sheriffs and even police departments. So these majors will be put over top of bureaus. Okay, so most agencies, the majority of agencies over bureaus, they have people who are not part of the bargaining unit. I have an additional captain who is in charge of my Office of Professional Compliance. That person is needed there because in order to conduct the investigations, you need to have the ability to first oversee the investigation, but also to basically order people to participate in the investigation. So a captain would cover the majority of the agency.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any further questions for HB 11, Anne Arundel County Sheriff Appointment of Majors? All right, anyone else to testify? Just want to make sure if you want to raise your hand.
That's it for the test. Yeah, I believe so.
Great. Okay, well, thank you. We're moving along. Now we have HB 62, Anne Arundel County summons for actions to repossess for failure to pay rent, alterations. Again, this is Vice Chair Simmons. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you once again, Mr. Chair, and thank you, committee members. First of all, allow for me to apologize on this bill. It actually came to the Economic Matters Committee before we had a chance to present it to our delegation. I believe last week we testified on it. So to Delegate Rogers, Howard, and yourself, sir, we want to apologize for kind of getting out in front of the delegation on this, but we are here now. This is pertaining to what they consider tack-ups with the sheriff's department. It is a technique wherein if the court has been petitioned for an eviction notification or eviction procedures with the courts, that enacts the sheriff's department to not only have to mail out a notice to individual residents in reference to their appear in court for a failure to pay rent, but the sheriff's department have to physically go out to each and every one of those houses and tack up a yellow notice on the door indicating the individuals that live at that residence, the fact that they are behind on the rent, that they have to appear in court, and how much funds are due as a result. It's kind of archaic, excuse me, archaic in manner. Sheriff Sesker started last year in looking at ways of replacing this or doing away with it. They had some levels of communication with the courts in reference to it as well, with the tack-ups on what better way we can do it. His department, like he indicated, is in a rebuild status. So they are required to be in the courts as their primary objective. They are a part-time agency, which means that they work from early morning to kind of late at night, 11 o'clock sometime at the latest. So as a result of these tack-ups, the sheriff's department was requesting to amend the current timeline that's currently on the books now, which gives people like almost 5 days. So by the time the sheriff's department actually go out, it's the day of court, or sometime it's after that. And, that's the problem that they're facing. They're looking to extend it. They're going to get into the amendment that's on it as well. I believe Lisa's on here. She will speak in reference to the amendment. Sheriff Sesker will speak to the needs of the department and explaining out all the mechanisms that are in place around this. So at this time, and in the interest of time, I will yield to Sheriff Sesker.
Okay. Thank you, Delegate Simmons. Let me say this also, and I know Lisa's going to talk about the amendment itself, but through her investigative skills, I like to say that she uncovered that this law was actually created in the 1930s. And in the 1930s, the sheriff actually had 2 days to get the tack up. So, and then in 1975, it was increased to 5 days, which currently exists today. So basically what we're doing is we're asking to keep in step with what's been going on. It now needs to be modified again. But for the sheriff's office, this is a task it's a Herculean task that is kind of unsustainable. We get about 2,000 of these tack-ups, which are summonses a month that we have to put up. I have approximately 10 people to do this, in addition to doing their other duties with court summonses for criminal trials and things like that. It's not sustainable. Unfortunately, the sheriff's office has not been able to keep up with personnel over the years. We're asking for additional personnel, but in order to do this, I'd probably need about 10 to 15 additional people. Again, it's a Herculean task that needs to be changed if we want to keep up with it.
Thank you. You can
Alrighty.
have Lisa speak about the amendment as well.
Yep, Lisa, if you would go, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Sorrow. I'm an attorney with Community Legal Services. We do eviction prevention legal services. We represent thousands of people every year. I've been doing this work in Arundel County, where I am a resident, for the past 20 plus years. I'm also really active in community groups working to prevent homelessness and address the fallout of evictions. I previously submitted written testimony when we were before the Economic Matters Committee. I believe you have that testimony. If not, I can provide it. So HB 8401, the failure to pay rent statute requires that trials be scheduled 5 days after filing. This is not remotely possible in practice. And because of that, many jurisdictions, actually all jurisdictions except for Anne Arundel throughout the state, have taken it upon themselves to simply work with the resources they have available and their court dockets. Most jurisdictions near us set those trials 3 to 6 weeks after filing, not 5 days like our jurisdiction does. We are rule followers in Anne Arundel County. Our court follows the statute as written, and the sheriff's office follows the directions of the court. But strict compliance with this outdated timeline is producing serious and predictable harm. First, it's overwhelming the sheriff's office, as he said. Second, and most concerning, it's depriving Anne Arundel County residents of the same meaningful opportunity to defend failure to pay rent cases that residents throughout the rest of the state are receiving. I looked at district court data just last night. Anne Arundel County has half the appearance rate of our neighboring counties. Half. Over the years, that represents thousands and thousands of households. I can provide additional information or answer
Lisa, could you just wrap up?
questions.
I want to stick with the time because we have
Yeah,
other witnesses.
sure. I just want to say the results are predictable. Anne Arundel County has eviction after eviction after eviction based on a lack of an ability of tenants to present their cases because they don't have the time.
Thank you.
I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Let's open it up. We do have questions from delegates. Delegate Schmidt, we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do commend the great work that you're doing there, Sheriff. We've worked on landlord-tenant legislation for the last 4 years. It seems like it's always a constant struggle to find a happy medium. I do appreciate you bringing up the archaic laws because we do need to work on those tremendously. And I know that I've spoken specifically with Judge Spencer, the administrative judge there, and I guess I'm struggling with, two questions. What is his take on this? And I guess for the bill sponsor is, I know there's been some opposition. Would it make sense to move this in the subcommittee so that we can really take a look at this and maybe come up with a happy medium as far as the days are concerned?
I can answer that, Delegate, if you don't mind. So, number one, I've been constantly working along this process with Judge Morrissey, the chief judge. So, obviously, in his communication, they did submit a letter. He said, matter of fact, we just met earlier this week. And the letter that they sent, he said, is a standardized letter in their position as a body. Also, the 10 days that was mentioned was something that they was in agreement with, so that's where we left last off. He said that they wouldn't be able to move past an agreement of the 10 days, feeling that would have an adverse effect with the courts. So that's kind of the last conversation we've had. They have not taken any further action or discussion in reference to the matter. Y'all are more than willing to take it into subcommittee. We would definitely, we want what's in the best interest of the residents of Anne Arundel County. I will tell you, in addition, homelessness is a serious problem that we face here in Anne Arundel County. And I think any and everything that we can do to mitigate that process, I'm all up for discussion.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Delegate. I know you and I worked tremendously together last year on that 10-day legislation in the Judiciary Committee where we combined 4 or 5 different bills as people on the streets. I know statewide, failure to pay rent is down significantly since the governor and housing has worked on that legislation. Seems like some of that's working with the 10-day notification. As a landlord, sometimes a month behind, 2 months behind. Now you're sometimes pushing this out 3 and 4 months. My fear is the longer a landlord may go without a tenant, and the last thing we want is anybody out on the street. Don't get me wrong here. We just don't want to see rent start to increase, and I've advocated against that significantly for the last 4 years. Is that we don't want to see vacancy go up. and then all of a sudden the landlord says, well, I'm going to raise the rent by 30-40% for the next tenant. And that's really what's got us into a lot of the high raising of rents across the board the last 3, 4, 5 years. So just want to work together to come up with a happy medium and be practical with Sheriff Sesker as well in the
Sure.
process.
And I think when you mentioned about it being down in the state, that is great. We're talking about Anne Arundel County, which is not down, is actually up. So I'm more than willing to allow the subcommittee to take a look at those numbers, and see what we can do to bring this to a good resolution.
Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick, for Sheriff, last year we passed a bill to help veterans specifically on allowing them to use. I think we actually approved process servers, because I do know this is a tremendous strain on your department, and allowing landlords to use process servers. Do you know if we have that ability when you go beyond the 10 days? Because I know it's difficult for you to do.
Well, hello, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
There you
go
go.
ahead.
Yes, Sheriff, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me say this. We had introduced that last year to utilize process servers that unfortunately did not work past last year. But this year, what we're looking at doing is we're looking at utilizing sheriff's office employees. They will be civilians. They will be trained by the sheriff's office to execute this. And we've also put it in our budget with the county this year to hire 11 constables, again, who will be trained by us, supervised by us, and they will be put out to help us with this serving of the summonses.
All right. Thank you. That's very good information. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Chisholm. Is there any questions for this panel? I do believe, Mr. Secretary, we have someone testifying in opposition, but I want to make sure this panel, if there are any other questions. Delegate Schmidt?
Yes, Sheriff Sesker, do you know if that bill, I know it didn't work the last couple of years, is that being reintroduced this year for the private process servers? I actually worked on that 3 years ago, and I'm not sure if anybody else has picked that up, because I worked with Sheriff Colgan in Baltimore City to help bring his caseload down. You and I talked about that as well.
And
We've seen that legislation come through this year.
I have
We might have
not
lost
seen
them.
it, and Lisa can
Okay,
tell
okay.
me, unless Lisa can tell me something different.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it has not come back, and the judiciary is absolutely against private process servers. It will not get judiciary support to use private process servers.
And that is one of the reasons why we said, well, we'll keep it in-house and we'll just use constables who are trained by us and supervised by us.
Excellent. Thank you for coming up with a solution, seems like.
Thank you all. Are there any further questions for the panel in front of us? Okay, Mr. Secretary, I believe, didn't we have someone who was a opposition testimony? Yes,
I think
Matt
we have
Pipkin.
Mr. Pipkin, if he's on.
Yep, I'll call Mr. Pipkin forward. You have 2 minutes.
Great. Good morning, Anne Arundel County delegation. Proud District 30 resident. For the record, Matt Pipkin here on behalf of the Maryland Multi-Housing Association. We represent apartment owners and communities across the state of Maryland. In Anne Arundel County, we represent about 110 apartment communities, housing approximately 70,000 county residents, asking for an unfavorable report on this bill. First things first, I want to make this as abundantly clear. The filings themselves within Anne Arundel County are down. They're down about 14.5%. I double checked this morning. It is in my written testimony. I'm not sure if you have it. I did submit it with Economic Matters, but happy to resupply that. So, the filings, the actual workload for the sheriff is actually going down as it is. In addition to that, your local Anne Arundel County Council is about to enact a bill, Anne Arundel County Bill 10125, which, among other things, will essentially also reduce the workload of the sheriff by making the eviction process for the sheriff's end a lot easier. This is an issue that doesn't exist anywhere else in the state of Maryland. The reason why, quite frankly, the statute hasn't been changed on this is because courts have the discretion to schedule things as they please. They schedule things out 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out. I believe truly that this could be resolved today if the sheriff met with the administrative judge for the District Court of Anne Arundel County and they worked to find a resolution. I saw this happen in Baltimore City with Sheriff Cogan talking to the Baltimore City sheriffs, Baltimore City judges, and they came to this resolution. But instead, the solution before you would essentially increase the eviction process from currently about 2 months fully to now immediately 3 months in total, because now you're essentially saying instead, we're going to, as soon as you file, which comes in after the notice of intent, which is 10 days. Anyway, thank you for
Please
your
wrap
time.
up, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah.
With your sentence.
It's basically what you will do with this bill if passed as introduced. It will be 40 days until you even see a judge. From the time the person that stopped paying rent, it's going to increase rents over time. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to open up the delegates for questions for this witness. Vice Chair Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Matt. Thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet with you several times to try to work all this out. A couple of questions on two questions. Number one, do you have any data to your clients specifically, what those numbers look like over the last year or over the last 5 years of how many times they've had to file for an eviction notice? And how much does it cost your client each time they file for an eviction notice?
That's a great question, Delegate, and I've always appreciated the dialogue that we've had. The data that I'm pulling is coming directly from the district court. This is available on the district court public website. It essentially, the filings from 2023 were 25,412, and I ran the numbers today for 2025, which just got finalized. So the filings in Anne Arundel County are about 21,733. As far as how much it actually costs to file, so that's a very interesting question. In 2024, under the governor's Renter Stabilization Act, the filing fees had increased to, I believe, when it all said and done, it was about, I got to double check, but I want to say it's about 55-ish. And that is non-recoverable, meaning even if we go before the judge and the judge finds that we are fully in the right, we cannot get those fees back. It's a very strange exemption that doesn't occur really anywhere else in state law. So you have that. You have the sheriff's fee that goes on top of that. And then, of course, there's just the general cost of, a renter not paying to the housing provider, which, with no revenue coming in, the mortgage coming up on, or other expenses, that's, really where the cost comes.
Sure, Mr. Chair, may I follow up?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you just tell me when you're looking at, excuse me, the filing fees specifically, do each tenant in contract with a landlord or owner, do they have to put down a deposit before renting property, or do they just move in?
As far as the actual move-in,
Yeah.
so
1 month, 1 month rent, 1 month, 2 months.
yes.
What is the process?
So right now, again, as passed in the 2024 changes, we went from being a state that allowed 2 month security deposit to now only 1 month security deposit. Yeah, so you have to offer they have to provide at least 1 month security deposit, which, by the way, is actually an outlier. Washington State has considered rent control. This was part of it, moving it from 2 to 1, and they thought that would be too much. Just as an FYI, and there's a lot of other issues that have come because of that change.
Right. What's the average rent here in Anne Arundel County, if you're aware?
I'd have to go back and double check.
Okay, I believe it's a little over $2,000. But thank you. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you. Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do have a quick question for Mr. Pipkin. You had talked a little bit about the timeline, 2 months, 3 months, the 40 days. Do you believe that and we've talked about landlords working with tenants to get caught up. I mean, that's obviously the goal of any type of proceeding. Would you agree that increasing the timeline would have an inverse effect on that cooperation?
Yeah, I mean, look, by now, we go from letting the court, set the date. I mean, I want to back up a little bit because I know this may be a lot of new subject matter for the delegation. When it comes to filing eviction, it's not, the eviction is not filed on the first day when someone is delinquent with rent. There's a notice of intent that you have to provide that's at least 10 days. So at the very least, there's 10 days that you have to give the tenant before I can even go and file. And say hypothetically, I file on the 11th day, which many times it's not. It's typically the
And that's
13th.
and that's after being late for how many days though? Because that already you have to be late. Is it
Correct.
5 or 15? What is that number?
You have to be late for at least well, you're correct. So so the late fees don't start tacking up until I want to say I have to get back on that.
I believe it's day 15 is the new law, but I have to
With
check
the late
that.
fees. I did double
Yes, sir.
check that. But yes, I mean, I can't even file until after essentially the 11th day. And then so I file in court and then the court provides a date. And again, in most jurisdictions, this date, can typically take anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks. As Ms. Sara pointed out, it just depends on the jurisdiction and the court scheduling. And what what you end up happening though again is that the longer it takes to get to court to find a resolution, the harder it becomes. Again, you have the delinquency rates going up, and as housing providers, with less revenue coming in, you got to make it up somewhere. I mean, and as introduced, you're going essentially from 2 months it takes from beginning to end. In Anne Arundel County now, it would be 3-month process overnight.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further action on this bill? It's like Delegate Mary Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And if I missed this, I apologize. I'm trying to multitask and go between meetings, but aren't filing fees recoverable from security deposits? Was that covered? Isn't that helpful?
They can be, but that again, that's if the costs are even there. I should point out because again,
Yeah, but there's a mechanism that allows for it, correct?
yes,
It's not that they can be; they are allowed under the law.
If there are if the security deposit again, because if security deposit also covers, I mean, any we're talking any other issues with the apartment. Oftentimes, there's nothing left even for to count back on the filing fee.
I understand that, but that is the tool. I
Correct.
understand that is a tool for you, though. And okay, thank you. I just wanted to verify that. Thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Delegate Lehman. Is there any further questions or action on this bill, Delegate Schmidt?
I'd like to make a motion to move it to subcommittee, please.
Is there a second on the motion?
A second.
Okay, we do have a second. So we have a motion on the floor to move HB 62 Anne Arundel County summons for actions repossessed for failure to pay rent alterations to subcommittee. I'm just going to do a voice vote for this so we don't have to do roll call. Is there any discussion on this first? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand on the thing. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, thank you. So HB 62 Anne Arundel County summons for actions repossessed for failure to pay rent alterations will be moved to sub for further discussion, and hopefully we can get through. Thank you. Moving on. Thank you. Moving on, we have HB 354. This is Maryland Port Administration acquisition of land in Anne Arundel County. Notice of public hearing. This is Delegate Kipke's bill. I will turn it over to him.
Good morning, everyone. This is a very simple bill. What it does is it requires that members of the delegation be notified when the port intends to acquire land in Anne Arundel County. The reason the bill, this is a cross-file with the Senate bill. It was introduced originally to also require some other things, but there's an amendment that everybody has received that just simply requires notice. When the port is already required to give notice to Anne Arundel County government. The amendment just says when that notice is given to also give it to the members of the delegation. it's District 31 that I represent has a lot of port activity in it, especially as it relates to dredge material. And we just want to be notified when changes are happening. We had an incident several years ago where we found out when the public found out about some changes that were going on, and it would be nice to know before the port actually takes action. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Delegate Kipke, did you have an amendment too? I know Roger might have mentioned something. I know.
Yeah, the amendment has been distributed to everyone's inboxes, and the amendment just simplifies the bill to requiring notice. When Anne Arundel County's government is given notice, that the delegation gets notice as well.
Thank you. And again, as I said earlier, it's been distributed. We will vote on it next week, but at least you're aware of it, that there is an amendment. I figure while we're here. Delegate Lehman?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the bill, Delegate Kipke. So 2 questions. Is the notification to the entire Anne Arundel delegation, or is it just to, or is it specific to a district?
It is not specific to a district. It's so that all of us are made aware.
Okay. And second, thank you for that. And second question is this simply notification, or does it trigger some kind of hearing or other process?
It's just notification. The bill as originally introduced required a public hearing.
Okay.
That's been struck in with the amendment.
That's your amendment. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions on HB 354, Maryland Port Administration Acquisition Land in Arundel County, notice of public hearing? Seeing none, we're going to move on to HB 1463, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Constituent Services Liaison Establishment. I'll turn it over to Delegate Howard.
Hey, good morning, team. HB 1463 is the school board hiring a constituent services liaison. It's the bill that we unanimously voted on last year, and I believe Gloria Dent, president of the school board, is here to speak on behalf of the bill, as well as Vice President Pulliam. And yeah, looking forward to the bill's passage. With that, if I could turn it over to my panel.
Thank you, Delegate Howard. President of the school board, Ms. Dent.
Good morning, everyone. Give me a second. Let me adjust my, there we go. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank all of you all for taking time out of your schedule just to hear this. I appreciate and support this bill wholeheartedly. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Robert Silkworth, and then you'll hear from the Vice President, Ms. Dawn Pulliam, and then final closing remarks from myself. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Robert.
Thank you, President Dent. I'd like to be talking about the value of the constituent service liaison. It's about strengthening communication between the board and the community. A constituent liaison serves as a direct bridge between residents and the board, ensuring that families, community members, and local organizations have a clear, consistent, and accessible pathway for engagement. It's about improving access to educational services. Many residents struggle to navigate complex school system processes. A liaison offers personalized assistance in accessing Anne Arundel County Public School services and other state or county educational resources. It's about enhancing community partnerships as well. The liaison is tasked with engaging and creating connections with local organizations, nonprofits, and community partners to support AACPS's strategic priorities. It's about reducing operational burdens on board members. This allows board members to focus on policy, governance, and oversight while ensuring residents still receive timely assistance. The role also ensures continuity of service, even when the board membership may change. It's also about improving transparency and trust. A liaison helps foster public trust and transparency, which is essential in a large and diverse school district. It's about demonstrating commitment also to public education. Formalizing this position signals that the board values community voice and is committed to accessible, high quality service. In summary, overall, A constituent services liaison enhances the board's effectiveness, responsiveness, and relationship with the public and ensures that families have a dedicated advocate to help navigate the educational system, ultimately contributing to better outcomes for students and helps our Anne Arundel County students belong, grow, and succeed. Having said that, I would like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Just right on the clock. Vice Chair Pulliam.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I too support HB 1463, the Board of Education Constituent Services Liaison. I wanted to focus my talk today hone in on two areas. Why now? Why now? This is the second full term for our elected officials. So before, and as you recall, Mr. Pruski or Delegate Pruski, it was an appointed board. So now we have an elected board, and it's very different, the level of accountability that we have. Right now, the buck starts and ends with us. And as my colleague, Mr. Silkworth, mentioned, people need answers. They want answers right away. We do not have a constituent-facing liaison at all. We have an administrative officer who really is focusing on the business of the board. But parents need answers, and they need answers now. I came into this board, and the first thing we dealt with was the budget. So there we had it. And then redistricting. I met with over 2,000 community members, and while we were still doing other board business. So we needed that level of, and even now that you talk about ebbs and flows, we don't really have ebbs and flows because there is always something. And then it was ICE, and now it's the current budget cycle. So we need someone to demonstrate that we hear the voices of the people of our community, and that we are transparent. And so sorry. So we do need that person. We also have the responsibility, unlike any other elected official, where we are the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch. So the superintendent reports to us. Oh, sorry. The superintendent reports to us, and we do not have, the superintendent reports to us, and we have a judicial responsibility where with the county council, they do have someone else to deal with their appeals. So
Thank you.
For that.
Thank you for your remarks. And I know President Dent wanted to wrap up quickly.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want to simply say that this complex situation that we're in right now with our institution called AACPS, it is not in a commonplace. And so constituency services is something that's paramount, and it's going to lead to this, not only reduce the friction that we're having in our school system, but it's going to increase the transparency, trust, and our community will be better served by this position. So I want to thank all of the bill makers for just even considering this, but supporting us over the last 2 years. We've tried to do this at the local level and have not been successful. So thank you to Delegate Howard, Delegate Bagnall, Delegate Bartlett, Delegate Biller, Delegate Chang, Delegate Jones, Lehman, Ngola, Pruski, Rogers, and Simmons for all the work that you've done on this bill. And I would ask that you all please support this favorably. Subject to your questions, that concludes our comments from the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you to the board members and for presenting today. We do have some questions. Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Delegate Howard, for bringing this. It looks like, and I'm reading the letter from AACPS, which is in the file, and it seems like everybody is in agreement that this is a much needed position and it's a very valuable position, but the problem seems to be an unfunded mandate. Have you had any talks with the administration on why it wasn't funded, one? And two, is there another mechanism for funding this, or is this going to be funded through this state budget?
It would be funded through the, I'd have to get back to you on that one. But to answer your first question very quickly, you got to remember, we sent the county executive a letter. So basically the board has put into their budget this constituent services liaison for multiple years, quite frankly. I think it's like 3 years now. And the consternation and the kickback from folks have always been, well, we don't do unfunded mandates, and it's in the budget, it's in the budget, it's in the budget. But it is an unfunded mandate because it it's something
Is it
that
in
the board's trying to, yeah, it's the board's trying to ask for this help, and then the county's not, quite frankly, didn't fund it. You know what I mean? So we sent a letter as a delegation, asking, hey, as far as the mechanism is concerned, as far as hiring someone's concerned, budget wise, do you intend to, fund this position? And no, was essentially. So that's, we're back here yet again, unfortunately. Let me just say this, delegate, and to my colleagues as well. And President Dent did a good job articulating it, but I want to just say it again, is that also too, you got to remember this person that will be helping the board as well. There's folks that are have litigation against the school board and against the school system, and a lot of times board members have to recuse themselves, right? So they can't really engage with folks that have an active case. They could absolutely find themselves in a position where someone's engaging them or asking them questions or things like that, and then they're sort of it could potentially be in a legal bind.
Yeah,
That's
you don't have to sell me on the need
No,
or
I
the
know.
importance
It's
of the
just
bill.
something
I'm
that's,
just curious on why it's not being funded.
I'll be honest with you, Brian. I don't understand what the consternation is. It is an absolute mystery to me. I mean, these people at the board, look, we can agree to disagree on subject matter sometimes. Yeah, absolutely, sure. But the fact that these people just need the courtesy of the same type of staff that you and I enjoy, the county executive, everybody enjoys, and the work that they do. And everybody in the county pays into the school system, right?
Yep.
So they're technically accountable to 593,000 people in this county. And
Yep.
and believe me, I'm sure if you talk to Gloria and Dawn and Dana and all these guys over there, they'll tell you they probably hear from 90% of them, because everybody is sensitive to what's going on in schools, and they should be. That's a good thing. But again, this is to answer your broader question. I don't understand the consternation. It's a mystery to me. But here we've got yet again, board members in support and asking for this, and so I'll leave it there.
Once again, I appreciate it. I appreciate the push.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Vice Chair Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Delegate Howard, and the board members for bringing this legislation. Over the years, we've heard multiple testimonies from board members year after year about not only the demand of the school board, but the expansion of our county and how they meet the needs of the citizens of Anne Arundel County, which is priority one. So I just want to thank y'all for the work y'all are doing. Number two, when I look at the county executive office, I know that they have a constituent services office that move around the county representing the county executive and the ability to network with other agencies and other departments to move policy and to make sure that we answer to constituents' concerns. We just heard recently in the recent weeks from the board in reference to their ability to operate as a part-time force, right? And these full-time hours that they're operating in, and the need for funding and healthcare and all these type of things. So to me, when I look at this mandate or unfunded mandate, I too am complexed about the fact that why the county executive or the school itself would not have a mechanism in order to make sure that this mandate is funded, because it's a need, right? So we're supposed to be meeting the needs not only of our constituents, but working with our other agencies to meet that need. So I think we're on the right path here, and we're on the right side of history with moving this bill forward. I just want to thank Delegate Bagnall for the work that she's doing around supporting the schools and continue to uplift the school board. President Dent, I know it's a hard lift. I know it's a lot going on, but I want you to know that we're here for you guys. So thank you all for the work y'all are doing. And hopefully we can get past this and continue to work on our children and our teachers, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Simmons. Delegate Jones.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Just a quick question. So there are 7 members of the school board. I'm sorry. First, let me say, President Dent, Ms. Plum, and Mr. Silkworth, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Howard, thank you for the bill. There are 7 members of the school board. Is that right? Anybody? President Dent?
There are seven, and a student member of the board, which is a voting member.
Right. There's 7 members of the county council, right?
Correct.
Right. County council, they have staff?
They do.
They do. Do they have a constituent service office that's completely separate of the staff that they each have?
They do, ma'am.
And on any given month, let's just estimate, anyone, how many emails do you receive from your constituents, which are the same amount of constituents that a county council person would also potentially be responsible for, that same constituency? How many emails are in your inbox and the needs of our students and our families?
So unfortunately, that number is so large until it's absolutely insane for me to just give you a swag. I will tell you that in the last 24 hours, of course, we did the budget, so I expected more, but I've got over 80 emails and they're so voluminous. And so unfortunately, we look like bad board members because we aren't able to respond to that. I just don't have the capacity in my body to explain that I spend my weekends trying to get back with constituents, trying to respond back to them. And the sad part about this, and we're doing this in April, is because it was so voluminous, I've asked all the board members to send them all, whatever email you get, send it to the administrator so we can calculate and so people can see the data, the patterns, and the volume and get insights on how this is. But the sad part about it is that there is no accountability. There's a loss in the loop. I can tell you from me, there's no consistency in the way I respond to those emails, but that is what's lost. And that transparency is so low. And so I really want us to focus on how we can be better board members to our community. I do. I think this is important.
And President Dent, you can't sit and respond to the emails because you are in fact doing the work for which the people have elected you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're passing a budget, is that right? And you're redistricting and all the other legislative things that come before the board. So what you're saying is you are only one person, is what I'm hearing.
That is correct. And don't forget, we have school visibility. We have everything that we have to do. We have our families that are calling me. I literally last night went to a school event and I ended up with over 30 minutes and with a family that she just really needed some guidance. And so this happens all day, every day in my life.
Thank you so much to everybody who's come, and thank you for the bill, Mr. Howard.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Jones. Is there any other questions? Anyone else to testify on this bill? If you just raise your hand or unmute, I'll check. Looks like we have Grace Wilson. Ms. Wilson, go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Pruski, Vice Chair Simmons, and members of the delegation. For the record, I'm Grace Wilson, Director of Legislation and Policy for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, here on behalf of AACPS and the board as a whole. While I appreciate the intent to support this constituent services liaison position for the board and the opinions of the individual board members who testified, as in years past, AACPS and the board respectfully request an unfavorable position on this legislation as an unfunded mandate and an infringement upon local control. AACPS has the authority to create such a position through the budget process and has done so in years past. It's important to note that such a request was not included in the FY27 budget that was adopted by the board earlier this week. And as such, I respectfully request an unfavorable delegation report on House Bill 1463. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we have some questions. Delegate Lehman first, and then Chairwoman Bagnall.
Thank you, Chairman Pruski. And I do not have my camera on because I'm driving now to Annapolis. But before Ms. Wilson spoke, I was just going to echo the sentiments of many of you who said, this is truly needed. It's overdue. And thank you to Delegate Howard for his tenacity. But Ms. Wilson, I have to ask you, given your statement, why don't you fund this? Why you could? It is a drop in the bucket in terms of the overall budget of Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And I'm asking you, not rhetorically, what is the resistance to doing this? It is the right thing for the board members, for Anne Arundel County residents, families, parents, teachers, students. What is the rationale? You said you funded it in the past, although, never actually hired anyone. What is the reason for being so recalcitrant about this issue? Frankly, I'm being as polite as I can, but candid. I find it personally extremely frustrating that AACPS keeps digging in its heels on this issue.
Thank you for the question, and Delegate Lehman. And it's not in opposition to the position. As I said, in the past, the board has requested funding for this position and has not received it from the county executive's office. However, the board annually adopts a legislative program that opposes unfunded mandates and infringements upon local control. We have the authority to create such a position. However, it has not been funded in the past. And again, as I said, it was not included in the board's FY27 budget, which was approved on the 18th of this month.
But I'm asking you why. You're not answering why. It's not an unfunded mandate if you provide the funding. And when you talk about local control, if it's the board asking for it, your board is local. Even though I understand it comes under state law, these are Anne Arundel County residents representing Anne Arundel County schools and families.
Understand, Delegate Lehman. And as I said, we imposed the infringement of state law requiring us to hire such a position because we have the authority to do so already. This is in alignment, as I said, with the positions that are adopted by the board at the beginning of every legislative session. The board has requested funding for such a position in the past. It has not been funded by the county executive's office. They have the authority to do so, and that is why we're advocating in opposition to the unfunded mandate.
Well, this is, Mr. Chairman, this is like just talking in circles. So I will just leave my, expression of frustration out there and hope that we can figure out for the kids and the AACPS parents and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Lehman. Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Wilson, I just want to understand your role here. Are you the legislative liaison for Anne Arundel County Public Schools or for the Board of Education or for both?
For both, Delegate.
Yes. So I think that you can see the challenge we have here because I don't see how you being the liaison for both the Anne Arundel County Public Schools and the Board of Education on this bill is not a conflict of interest.
Delegate Bagnall, this is how Anne Arundel County Public Schools has chosen to advocate to the General Assembly. Our school system and our board speak with one voice. And as I said, I do appreciate the opinions of the board members who are here in their individual capacity, but I have been tasked with representing the board on a whole. The position I'm recommending is consistent with the position the board and AACPS have been taken in years past.
And can I just ask one follow-up? Is that position as representative of the board writ large, is that also representative of a survey of the sitting board members?
As I said, Delegate Bagnall, the board has a legislative program that they adopt every year. The position I'm advocating for is consistent with those positions outlined in their legislative program.
Okay, thank you. That's very clarifying.
Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. There's a lot here in this testimony. One, we support the addition, Grace Wilson, please. One, we support the addition of a constituent service liaison. Then we go on and we say, two, in the past, Superintendent Bedell has included funding, and then we're opposed to this. So there's a little bit of whiplash in here. So, and I will be honest that Chairwoman Bagnall, at times a twin sister, did in fact ask some of the questions that I'm confused about because you are the Director of Legislation and Policy. Is that correct?
That's correct. And as I said, our board as a whole
Thank you. So you are for the board, but also for the superintendent, is what you're saying. So, President Dent, were you notified in advance that your Director of Legislation and Policy would be coming in opposition to you and your fellow board members? Or did you find out last night?
I found out last evening that this was
real timely. Okay. So, I think we all have shared over several years the importance of supporting our board and their ability, therefore, to support our parents and our children with questions and concerns. So I would ask that we take a deeper look at this and give the board members what they need. But furthermore, I am very confused at somehow representing both folks. There's this clear conflict of interest there, and how we choose who we support on any given thing, and then the time frame for which board members were told tomorrow. I will not be your legislative and policy director. I will be someone else's. So that is disappointing. Thank you so much, Chairman.
Vice Chair Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is a very frustrating conversation we're having here. As a former employee of the school system, as a strong advocate of the board and of Dr. Bedell and what he's trying to get accomplished here in Anne Arundel County, someone who have sat in meetings with parents and with other members of the school to try to move our county forward. We have a lot of things that we have to address. I was just sitting here thinking, last year in discussion, I thought we had discussed drafting a letter to the county exec in support of this position and funding behind it, unless I'm getting old and getting slow, which I am. But did we ever get any feedback? Did we ever send that letter?
Yeah.
Where
Short
are we?
answer to your question is welcome to the Getting Old and Slow Club. And yes, we sent a letter and then we really didn't get anything back. We basically said, are you going to fund the position? And we said, okay, let us know by, we gave it a couple of days. I can go back and we go through the timeline, but
Sure.
we gave it a couple of days and said like, hey, we're supposed to have a delegation meeting on Friday. Can you let us know, Thursday at noon? And then that became the following Monday. And then we gave it till Wednesday and just never heard back.
Okay, so with that being said, should we be drafting a letter to our county council members in reference to this? What actions can we take as a delegation to work with our county council, who needs to work with our school members, school board members, with the superintendent, instead of having this line in the sand that's being taken here? Because I think it's unnecessary. It's tying up a lot of time, years, and our communities are suffering as a result of it. I think we're all frustrated with the conversation at this point.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, what steps can we take? I think we need to have that conversation directly with our county council members who, right, these are the folks. I know I have two, for example, three in my district. So I would be more than willing to reach out to them in reference to this. But we need to take some direct steps here to resolve this, so we're not coming back next year with the same conversation.
Step one is passing this bill. Honestly, I mean, the county council knows about this.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the direct, the shortest line from A to B is a straight line. This is the straight line, and we will get it done, and it will be resolved as it's needed to be for a couple of years.
Thank you, Delegate Howard, and thank you, Vice Chair. And just for a point of clarification, and council will tell me if I'm wrong, I think Delegate Howard's point is pass the bill is sending a message, right? So obviously you're telling them that we have that. So I just want to be clear that is one. Now, obviously there could be a letter sent, whatever else, but the passing the bill is putting it in statute. So I just want to be clear that is something that we obviously say, and of course from there. And I know this relates to a prior bill as well, that the county council and county executive have authority on funding these positions. We really don't. I know that was kind of insinuated earlier, but that's kind of the way it's set up. But there any further questions in regards to this bill? Great conversation, and certainly the testimony. Delegate Howard, thank you for bringing the bill. And thank you to our board members for testifying today and answering questions and having the dialogue. This is really helpful. But I did want to move on if there was anything else for HB 1463. Awesome. Thank you, Delegate Howard, and thank you all the witnesses for being here. Before we close today, we actually have a special announcement. I would say permission to use Delegate's name, but I'm the chair, so I'm going to use it anyways. Delegate Mike Rogers' birthday. So can everyone join me in a virtual clap for him? We want to wish him a happy birthday and thank him. So if you do see him today, please tell him that. I said earlier. Also, I know Senator Guile came in earlier and bounced out, but she was also here as well. So we want to thank our board members, obviously our senators that came, all the people that testified. Thank you again for your patience. And a reminder, all the bills that were heard this week will be voted on next week. If you have any other amendments, please make sure you get them to Mr. Secretary. Also, Mr. Secretary, dues. Has everyone paid their dues?
No.
Oh boy. Okay. So we won't share that publicly, but certainly a reminder that dues are due. So please make sure you see Mr. Secretary by the end of this week so we can take care of that. Remember, we all use that for Anne Arundel Day, and obviously I believe that the delegation makes a donation usually. So there's a lot of good things coming out of that. So please make sure you pay your dues. Is there any other business to be brought before the delegation today for the Friday, February 20th meeting? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you all. Have a great day, great weekend. Great to see everybody. Take care.